Hi everyone, welcome to Artefacto YouTube channel where renowned artists share their skills and secrets to help people like you improve their painting. My name is Prasad Beaven and today we're going to dive into the captivating process of watercolor painting, and today I'll be sharing some tips and tricks with you, so stay tuned.
The painting begins with the idea and with the pencil. We have a line there. Keep your pencil on the paper, the mountain there. So some of you mentioned being more loose. So it begins with the pencil marks you're making. Don't be too afraid. Then here, which is nice and confident. This is too small. Maybe I'll bring this slightly over. At this stage, these pencil marks, they won't be seen. So there's no problem at all. There'll be a bridge over here. I'm just kind of feeling my way into this painting. The tree is going to be here. It's going to, yeah, that's going to be there. You see different height. And yeah, and then we'll have some other trees there. So very loose, very rough. And I always love to begin with a flat brush. And I'm going to start just by mixing some colors. I've got Payne's Gray, a bit of Rose of Ultramarine. Wow, it's really annoying. Okay. So Payne's Gray, Rose of Ultramarine. You can add a bit of brown in there. The idea is to keep it dark and cool. So just make sure you keep it cool, the color. And I'm using a lot of water. In the beginning especially, you can use a lot of water. And you can see how I'm holding the brush. I'm holding it right at the tip. That really will help you to see your painting better because you're stood further away, and to develop more looseness in your brush strokes. My work, I would say, it's very influenced by Chinese landscape painting, and calligraphy is a major influence of Chinese landscape painting. And so enjoying your brush strokes and being expressive with them is really key. So we have this, just twisting the brush slightly. Okay, we'll break it up, leave some dots. And while you're painting, you can just spray so it stays wet. Gives you a lot of time. Bring this over. Now I'm going to lose this edge up here. This will create the atmosphere. And you can suggest that the ground is continuing a little bit further. Just putting in the softness. My idea in this painting is to lead the eye towards the tree, but also towards nothing, towards, as they call it in Chinese landscape, towards the void. I think art and spirituality are very closely linked, and it's depending upon your character how linked it is. But it is, whether you know it or not. Dark and light and dark. These are all quite spiritual things. Softness, the void, nothingness. Meditation is very closely related to becoming thoughtless. And when your mind is thoughtless, it's empty, and soft edges represent this really well. So using soft edges have a significance beyond just pictorial terms. And understanding this will naturally make your brushstrokes more aware, and yeah, it will help you in the journey.
I hope you like what you see. If you'd like to learn more from me, whether it's watercolor principles or techniques, you can register for my free workshop via the link in the video description, and we'll do some compelling paintings, some spontaneous sketches, So it's a free workshop, and I hope to see you there.
Now I'm going thicker, adding some green, less water, some Payne's grey, a bit of brown. I'm gonna start with this. There's some trees in there. And I can come in the other side here. So this river is going like this. So you see, I'm letting white areas happen, and it's very suggestive. Moving down, we can start to add a color we like. In this case, it's a green, but you can add any color that you really like. I mean, to be honest, you're free to, it doesn't have to be realistic. So you can add a nice red or pink or orange or green or blue. I'm going with mixing some cobalt teal and Windsor and lemon yellow. And continuing this movement of the brush strokes. Big strokes, small strokes. You can spray. The water's just going through there. So this approach will really help those who often overwork their painting, because we're basically working in one layer. So it's not like very methodical. I just maybe want to do something a little less. I just want to pull away some of that there, so that it feels more like a mountain going through there. Okay. I'm just gonna dry a little bit with tissue there. Okay. So the main colors, layers are down. Very quick. There's a river passing through, so it's going to be a little bit more warm in color, like a ochre color. I'm just mixing some red into the green. And this is good just for breaking it up a little bit. If you think it looks too dark, it won't. It always dries lighter. You can add a bit of blue in there. River. Some lines. And lose these edges at the bottom here. I want to draw less attention to the bottom. And this area can all flow together more. You can tilt your paint down. Let it do what it wants to do. We can go a little bit thicker, even thicker. I'm going to this mop brush now. Now, color, it's just more about tone now. I can make this area more dark and draw more attention to this area down here. That dot isn't very good there. Okay, better. Break your lines if you can in places. Soft, hard. Bring this up there. So just be suggestive with your brush strokes. That's a key. Maybe there's a town down there. And it's important when you reach this kind of stage where you just hold on a little bit. There's no pressure because the painting is very wet, and So you don't have to worry too much. It's very wet, and the colors are just getting to know each other a bit, actually. So you just let them flow, and let everything kind of reach a kind of more level basis, and then you can continue. I watched this Japanese movie recently, and she was making red bean sauce. And it's very interesting how she was making it. She would let the beans and the sugar get to know each other, she called it, for an hour or so, and then add the next ingredient. So kind of appreciating your pigment and respecting it it's important as well. I'm just going to take a wet brush, maybe lose this edge here just a little bit, make that softer. If you watch many of the masters paint, my favorite artist is Ping Long, and he holds a brush very far away, and he won't make many brush strokes, but each brush stroke he does do is very decisive, and it's, you know, he really thinks about it before he does it. So yeah, having this kind of sense of conviction in each stroke is quite important. So you can see what's happening in the softness. It's suggesting so much. It's suggesting different mountains. It's letting, if you're suggestive, you actually allow the viewer's eye or the viewer's mind to imagine more, and it makes it more interesting for them. And that's what's really key. I'm just gonna put some droplets on there while it's still wet, just to make it a little bit more textured and interesting. I'm using a very small brush because then the droplets won't be as big, and I can control the water a bit better. Yeah. So we have the background down, and we'll slowly start adding this area, some trees in here, some trees here, and then when this area here dries, we'll add in that tree. So there's a hardness there. So I'm going to test the waters a bit. I'm going to see how it is. I'm drying my brush, taking off excess water.
Hi, Prasad, it's Philippa here.
Hello.
I have a few questions.
Yes.
I hope you don't mind me interrupting.
Please.
Which colors were used for the closest mountains and the trees?
These here. Well, so for these trees, I just used a mixture of cobalt teal and lemon yellow to get this lighter green, and then I just added some red to the mixture to make it slightly kind of ochre color. It's also a good skin tone, green and red. And then for these mountains, I have my mixture, and I'm just adding Payne's gray into it to make it darker. Yeah, to be honest with you, I normally use a mixture of sepia and ultramarine, but I don't have any, so I'm just using what I have. And I think if you just think in terms of light, dark, the color is not too important.
Yeah, I love those colors, especially the Payne's gray, the purplish gray in the background. And the big flat brush that you used at the beginning, does it have a brand name or number?
It's Roy Bluff 35. This is Roy Bluff 35, and this is Roy Bluff 20. It says FG2NC white goat. It's a goat hair, and the thing about goat hair is it's very soft haired, so that is really good for getting lots of texture on your paper. So it's a really good brush just to kind of, yeah, you can do all sorts to make it interesting.
Oh, that's good to know too. A lot of people asking about the brushes. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's see how it's going. Yeah, you see, I'm just softly. I have a rough idea about what I want to do, but I'm just kind of watching what happens as I add the paint. And I'm just suggesting maybe there's a sun from here, maybe, let's say, or there, it doesn't matter. But there's light on one side and darkness on the other. So I'm just kind of being very suggestive with the strokes. There's a tree breaking that line there. And then these two are a little bit too similar. Well, if I just soften, it's always nice, as I said already, to think in opposites. So we have a hard edge here, and if I soften this edge, it'll be better. And it will put more emphasis on that edge there. So changing up the edges is good to create emphasis in different areas. That's what you want. That's what makes art critical. You know, it's about your interpretation, about putting emphasis. What do you see? And that's why not just painting from a photograph and being imitative is good. You have to reflect on, you know, what captured your interest and why do you want to paint it? And then naturally you'll start to make these decisions. You know, I want to lead the viewer's eye there, so I make decisions that that are in line with that. So I like all these brush strokes. I'll leave this just light in there and suggestive. That's fine. I can spray occasionally, and I'll come back with the same road bluff. Well, I can use a different brush as well. I have a brush from Heron, and you can see it's very textured. Yeah, it's not rounded or anything, and it forces you to be more loose and textured. And yeah, with your brush strokes, I'm just mixing some dark colors together. Maybe here I'll keep it a little bit warmer, so more brown in it than blue. We can have a tree there, something there. See, I'm just using the side and scraping it to make texture. So this is quite a textured piece. Let's make a bridge going across there. One stroke. And then if you want to add some suggestion, there's the rounded things of the bridge there. And yeah, and break it up in places. Don't make each thing the same. Don't go doop, doop, doop. Break it up. It's not about what you see. It's about making interesting painting. And these are the things that will make your painting interesting. So I'm repeating the same things a lot, but these are the important things.
Prasad, what was the name of the texture brush again that you were using?
You mean this one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a Heron flat brush. It's a South Korean brand. It's Heron. The brush name is F1777. F1777 flat brush. Yeah.
That's useful for some of our listeners. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, so we're nearly there. Now is kind of I've said what I wanted to say, and you know, it's just about just some fine touches. According to Chin Chun Wei, what he says is you should paint 70% of the painting in 30% of the time, and then for the last bit you can take the most time. So as you continue to work in it, now you're making more fine decisions about your painting. But I'm not going to get too heavily involved in this painting. I'm going to keep it quite loose and free. Once I feel I've said what I want to say, I'll stop. Maybe I can just come in with the scraper and scrape some areas and places. I'll even suggest some trees coming through there, light in dark, and then later on I can add some dark branches and dark and light. That's the essence. That's the point. When you suggest details, then it becomes very interesting because you're just given a part of something, and then you follow it, and then it leads to something else, and it becomes interesting. If you spell everything out, it's really boring. So I'm just making some lines there. Just in places that are light. Lots of little shapes in there. Maybe we'll have one branch in there. Still quite wet there. So we can spray a bit. I've also brought some salt. This is really kind of not important and not the point of this demo, but you know, maybe it can add some interesting effects. So you can do it if you like. Okay. Maybe we can soften some of these areas here. You notice I'm holding it quite close and it's quite dangerous, but as long as you protect some areas, then it's okay. Simplify some areas and make other areas more pronounced. There was all this roughness running along there, so just to break it up, I just made this soft edge here. Okay. Just letting that fall back in there. And you can coax it down with a branch, the tree branch there. What I suggest as well is sometimes when you do the painting once, you just can't help it. You're very tight, and your every brushstroke is kind of commanded by your sense of anxiety or fear. And so doing something a few times can really help in this regard. So if you do this demo in your own time and the first time doesn't work out, fine, just do it again, and do it again until you just feel like you're painting and you're just relaxed and you're not worried about the result anymore. But yeah, working plein air has influenced me a lot, and now it's dry, so I can put it up still a little bit, but it's fine. So I can put this tree up there, and I'm just going to leave this tree quite rough. And maybe I'll make it slightly more less rounded. Let's see if we can make it more interesting like that. And put a branch through.
I've had a really great question from Marianne here, who asks, when you spray with your water, how do you avoid getting blooms on the colours that's already there?
How do you avoid getting the spray on the colors that are already there? Was that the question?
No, how do you avoid getting blooms or cauliflowering when you're spraying?
When I'm spraying, well, I only spray on a wash that is wet. So the thing is, the main thing about blooms is that when the blooms only happen when a trapped area of a wash is collected, and then the water will push the pigment out and make a bloom. So that's the only thing. So you notice while I'm painting, I'm kind of moving the paper around and letting the pigments dissolve into each other. So naturally the wash is spread out and I don't get these blooms. And to be honest, I quite like these some of these effects that naturally happen. Yeah, so the main thing about blooms is just letting the washes move around and freely move into different areas, and that will stop all your blooms. It's not to do, the sprayer evenly puts a coat of water on your paper, Yeah, but it does collect in places sometimes, but I personally quite like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. And yeah, that's about it really. I mean, yeah, you have this, I think this tree is well, yeah, I think it is capturing the focal point there quite well with the softness in the background there. And then we have these shapes, and they're not even, you know, this one diagonal, this one, this big, this one. So they're different. When you create diagonals, you naturally create, I'm just gonna do that. You naturally create movement in your painting. If you think about all the different lines that you can achieve in a painting, you have the vertical line, you have the diagonal, and you have the horizontal line, and that's basically it. Of course, you have yeah, they just go in different directions, but all along that is, you know, is the lines that you achieve. And so when you're standing up, you're in a state of it's called inspiration. You know, you're ready to do something, and when you're laying down, you're at a state of rest. But when you're in between, you're neither. So you're in a state of movement almost. You know, if you're about to lie down, in between there, it's just a way that I kind of understood. Okay, it means movement. So that's how I understand the diagonal line expresses movement. And naturally, when your eye moves around, it creates dynamics that are interesting. Yeah, I don't actually have a sprayer, so, and I think that's quite a good thing because the salt wants to do some stuff there. And I think if I used a sprayer, I would just hurry it along and maybe wouldn't get the same effects.
Oh, we've had so many nice comments already. Awesome work, so good. I think somebody's come in late because they said, does Prasad have an Indian connection? The name sounds Indian. You can answer that one, Prasad.
Yes, I do. I lived in India for 6 years, where I studied in a town called in a part of India called Himachal Pradesh on the foothills of the Himalayas. And I mean, I feel very much more in many ways Indian than I do Western. When I came back to the Western school, I had no idea what the other children were talking about. You know, I grew up, you know, we practiced meditation daily, and there was many things that I admire about the Indian culture that the West can learn a lot from. And so I love India a lot. I practice meditation daily. Yeah, I mean, India for me is the home of spirituality. So I think anyone who's spiritual naturally has a connection to India.
I hope this video was helpful for you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we will assist you in this wonderful journey of art towards mastery. And yeah, if you liked what you saw, please click the link in the video description and you'll see way more. Thank you so much.